Hey, good morning everybody. This is Mr. PJ and I'm at the Okeechobee Agra Civic Center. Yeah, I said Agra Civic Center. They kind of put their horse arena and their civic center into one place, and I'm in the parking lot. And you might be asking me, why am I in a parking lot? Well, I'm in the parking lot because, well, part of the things that we do with the Jeep Club and what we do here in the Jeep community and what we do here as part of an outreach of Calvary Chapel, Fort Lauderdale's, I work in a parking ministry. So I come out here to these kind of events when there's an event and park cars with whoever's out here. I don't know what the next event is that's going to be here, but as I go through the different venues in the Treasure Coast, I'm going to include you and let you see some of these wonderful things. Today is the very first day that I've embraced my missionary position. There's a cliche amongst the Christians that says, if you are called, God will provide. If you are called, God will provide. Those of you that are in ministry already know that's a true statement. I've lived by faith my entire life, never worrying or caring about anything but what God wanted me to do. 2 years ago, I had to make a decision. That decision was either to Mr. Moose, here. Moose, here. And for those of you that don't know, I have a service dog. His name is Mr. Moose. Hey, Mr. Moose. And he was shaking the truck, so I wanted to call him out. You gotta go, Pooh. Go. And so Mr. Moose is gonna go do his thing. I don't know where this ministry is gonna go. I don't even know how it's gonna pay for itself. In fact, I don't even have a job as of right now. The job that I had, I was white labeling my services for high-end real estate in South Florida, and somehow along the process I realized that it's not what God's called me to do, because ever since I started working at this job, the ministry that He's called me to do has been left alone. And through God's, and the problem is that all my sound judgment of all my wise Christian friends tell me the same thing. You need a job. You need a job. Well, there are no jobs in the Treasure Coast. And so what I want to do is I want to create jobs. So I created my first job. It's a social media marketing campaign. And it's all around this crazy missionary named Mr. PJ, who often dresses like a pirate, makes pirate jokes, talks about pirates, and to boot it all off, I am a registered Florida pirate. It's a legal entity and a legal political party. I am so disgusted with the candidates that are out here that we're never going to change the government from up there and changing who the president is. We have to instead look at our local people and say, who's in charge around us? Are they doing the best for the Treasure Coast? As of right now, I don't know. It's not my place to look or judge or decide. All I can do is go out amongst the people and ask them, how can we, being the community at large, find you a job so that you can buy services from him who has a job, but he's not hiring because you're not buying. We're stuck. With the globalization of the world, we're going to find that a lot of the things that Americans used to make, we no longer make. A lot of things that we used to do, we no longer do. There's all these stuff that America is known for that we just don't do anymore. One of the things that America is known for is for thinking out of the box. All great technology has been developed in America. Now, mind you, it might be an American who went over and saw someone else doing it and came home and made it happen. But, nevertheless, it's mostly been Americans. As much as I hate Apple products, and I will continue to hate Apple products, I've had 60 days of having to deal with a worthless tool. And for those of you that have Macs that are up to date and everything else, they're great, because on the last 2 days when I'm telling the employer that the equipment you've given me is end of life, I cannot do my functions. I can't even upgrade Firefox. Firefox is out of date. How can you let your computer system go that bad? So with all that said, they gave me another computer to use after someone else had quit. And the turnover rate here is incredible because of the fact of the working environment and conditions, but I'm not worried about that. I don't have any working conditions. I'm just doing what God tells me to do. Which brings me to this concept of a video blog, because I'm not a very good typist. I definitely misspell. And how do you do my expressions? I cannot. But I want to tell you this. I sell advertising to support the ministry. I also take photos, such as this beautiful sunrise, and I sell those photos for $25 each. They help me to pay for gas and trucks and doing all the other things that I do in the Treasure Coast. What I want to do more than anything else is what God's called me to do, and that is to travel through the Treasure Coast, connecting the local Calvary chapels, making a sort of a support network, and then from that network we branch out into the community, different areas, and find other churches that are doing just a wonderful job teaching people about Jesus and loving people and providing the needs of the poor and doing what the church says. I do not believe Calvary Chapel is the only church and the only way for a Christian to understand the Bible. It works for me because the basic principle of our doctrine is this. Start here at chapter 1, verse 1, read. Words you don't understand, explain. If I don't understand it, you probably don't understand it. So we need to look it up. Thank God for pastors like Pastor Bob Coy, who takes those big words, breaks them down, and packages them, no matter what the word is, into a package that we can open and enjoy. There have been times where that package is probably the most terrible thing that you would ever want to touch. Yet, we know we have to deal with what's in that. That's called sin. We'll talk about that some other time. But also, not only Pastor Bob, which I love Pastor Bob. Last night I was listening to Pastor Doug Souter. I was looking because I want to be able to justify me not going to work today to the job that I went to that I renegotiated with, because I have an integrity issue. Not me, but the people I'm working for. And it's not, and Pastor Doug had a great point in listening to that integrity message. Mr. Moose, what are you doing? I think he's taking a shower in the grass. And so I chose, you have to listen to, just go into Calvary Chapel, on their online sermon, their thing, and go over and look by topic and go down to integrity and find the one by Pastor Doug. It's integrity, and it was actually 4 years ago, because the Olympics was going on, that it was actually broadcast originally. But the one thing he said that really put the icing on what's going on in my own life is when your boss tells you to go ahead and just sign off on this form, and you do that, and you compromise your integrity, the next time you ask to do that, well, it's easier to do until it becomes so easy that you no longer have integrity. And he used an example of two runners from the Olympics of '88. And you guys know that story, I guess, or not. I don't know. You can look it up on the internet. Google it! So, with all that said and done, it was just another reassurance. And I've been saying from the very beginning, when I started this project 2 years ago, and working with Total Tickets, and I'm trying to work with Jeep4x4center.com, and I'm trying to work with Extreme Outroading, and I have all these different loose connections everywhere, but they're all coming together under Jeep with a little dash of help.com. Now that Jeep with a little dash of help.com, jeep-help.com, is where I'm kind of starting and launching everything from. Now I want you to understand, I'm a pirate. Remember that. And so I've taken my mom's website sort of hostage. My mom wants to do a Christian magazine called Amazing News, very much like the South Florida magazine Good News, except in a smaller format and a free publication that we place around in different locations. Well, problem with what we're having with this is that finding the quality content on the Treasure Coast, it seems that the Christians here are afraid to speak up and join in this thing because they don't understand what it is, and I don't know why they don't find it interesting. But my mom hasn't given up, and she's been doing this for a long time. Secretly, my mom wants to write a book. She's been talking about it from the time she's 20. One day I'm going to sit in my rocking chair and write my book. Well, now she has the opportunity to do that, and that's what I'm trying to do. So, all advertising, all everything, biblically speaking, has to go through my mom, and I get paid from her. That's the way it kind of works. The money that's generated and taken care of, we let God figure it out, because we all have needs, and we are a family. And that's my stepfather, who I call Dad, and Pops, and Jay, and if I'm mad, I don't know what to call him, my mom, myself, and my future wife Gina, which for all intended purposes I would have never quit my job, because we are so close to bringing Gina here that all I had to do was stick it out 90 more days, and I can't do it. The integrity is so overwhelmingly unavailable in this real estate market that I just can't imagine. Besides that, the goal that I think God has for me is to work with the Guardian Ad Litem, our Guardian Ad Litem program, which is what I'm doing here today. I am in no condition able to be a foster dad at this present time in my life. Though I would love that opportunity, I cannot do that. So I've opted for the second thing that I know to do for the fatherless child. There are kids in the Treasure Coast who, for whatever reason, have been taken from their families by the state. Now, every kid that comes out of there, the ideal situation when they're taken away from their families, they get what's called a Guardian Ad Litem, a volunteer. I'm one. You should be too. That we take about 10 hours a month to go do a case and follow a kid through. It takes about a year to complete one case. That child who gets a Guardian Ad Litem, because of the demand being so great, are now really the worst of the worst. And so what you are is you are this kid's guardian angel, per se. You're his eyes, ears, and nose and mouth for the Supreme Court of the state of Florida. I'm one of those volunteers. I am the judge's eyes, ears, hands, touches in the community concerning this one child. I have to go to their school, I have to go here, I have to go there. And Mr. Moose, my service dog, is all about doing some different things. And so as we do the social media, we may do some camera shots, we may do this, we may do that. I don't know, but what I want to do is in the morning, at least let you know how yesterday went. In closing, I want to say two things. One, faith is not proven until you step in its direction. Number two is I'm hungry. I'm gonna get some breakfast. You thought something was real spiritual, huh? No, not gonna happen.